Hey friends, welcome. Welcome back to anybody who is familiar with my channel. And for anybody that's new here, welcome to Other Side Wellness. My name is Matt Marine. I am a survivor of psychiatry and protracted withdrawal. And I make videos about my experience and everything that I've learned through it. So, yeah, if that interests you, please check out the other videos, give it a thumbs up, and share it with anybody. My goal is ultimately to get the word out as much as possible about this type of injury and to support anybody who needs help through it because it's pretty unbelievable. So recently, somebody commented on one of my videos and asked me if I could make a symptom spotlight video about insomnia. So that is what I'm going to do tonight because I am having a better night, having a lot less symptoms this evening, and I like to seize those moments, any kind of windows that I get, and make some videos. So I have had quite the journey with insomnia. It is one of the worst symptoms that I got hit with in this process. And it actually begins all the way in 2015. I talk about it in I think part one of my story video. While I was on certain medications throughout my time being polydrugged, there were certain ones that gave me this as a really bad side effect. I had never, ever in my life struggled with sleep before getting on these meds. And yeah, being on certain ones gave me really bad insomnia. And, you know, a lot of the polydrugging stuff, it's kind of becomes this game of whack-a-mole, because you get on one drug and it gives you these side effects, so you get on another drug for those side effects, and then you get on another drug for the side effects that that drug is giving you for treating these side effects from this drug, and it just becomes, robbing Peter to pay Paul, basically. So that's when the insomnia started, but it went away once I got off of the drugs that were causing it for the rest of the time that I was on meds. And when it really got bad again was once I started to come off of them. So at the beginning of 2019, I cold turkeyed off of Klonopin at the instruction of my doctor because I was told that it was a low enough dose. I had been on Klonopin for 3 or 4 years, and I got hit by insomnia very hard when I cold turkeyed off of that. I would wake up after, half an hour of sleep, completely terrified, adrenaline city, I would have to change my sheets every day because I was soaking through them from the amount I was sweating. It was ridiculous. And it was really bad for a few weeks, but I was on a very, very large dose of Prozac. And right after I cold turkeyed the Klonopin, I started to taper off of the Prozac. And I kind of accredit that being on the Prozac to why I didn't get hit even harder by the benzo withdrawal in the beginning. It was really bad, but it was nothing compared to what happened when I got off of everything, which was the Prozac as well. I had insomnia on and off throughout my tapering process, and then once I stopped taking the Prozac entirely and I was completely psych med free is when it went from bad to completely unimaginable and unlivable. To this day, I do not know how I survived. It took a village. I had a lot of help from friends and family, and I'm very, very eternally grateful for the support that I received. But I don't know how I survived it, even with all of that. It was abject torture. And I mean, it was the tip of the iceberg of hundreds of other symptoms that all came busting into my life at the same time, right upon getting off of the meds. but it amplified everything greatly, greatly. Um, it made the akathisia worse. It made everything worse. It made all of my other symptoms 10 times worse because I was so sleep deprived. I would not be able to fall asleep for longer than maybe 20 minutes, and then I would surge awake like I was being, hunted down, and I would have to get up and pace and cry and shake my hands, and I had never heard the word akathisia at the time, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I'd lost my shit. I thought I was crazy, and this was a few months into COVID, so I thought I was just losing my mind, and I was terrified. I was so terrified after a few months of it, and I was so sleep deprived and exhausted and desperate for sleep that I eventually tried to go back on meds because I felt held hostage by them basically, and yeah, I had such a horrific reaction to trying to get back on that it reaffirmed wanting to get off of them, and I decided to throw them away after one dose. But the insomnia kept getting worse, and it went on for months and months until finally I ended up being hospitalized, but that was after I sought out ketamine therapy. I will never make official advice to anybody because I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a medical professional, and I'm not telling anybody what to do with their journey, but all I can say is my lived experience, and I would never ever have touched it if I knew the nature of this injury. It made everything exponentially worse. And I went from doing ketamine treatments into the psych ward. After that, the insomnia was very up and down because I began a journey of trying everything under the sun to tackle the problem as well as all of the other problems I was facing. And it was horrific. It was hell on earth. I would not wish it on my worst enemy. So I've learned so much in this process, and that's what I really want to share is like just what I wish I had done differently, basically. It's not advice, it's just this is what I wish I had known. So I was so desperate to sleep that I went on a cocktail of tons of different supplements, and it began while I was at ATMC, which I've mentioned in other videos, and I plan to make a full video about my experience there at some point. It was horrible, largely. There were some good parts of it, but I think they're doing a really miserable job of running what they're trying to do there and handling things in a very dangerous way. But I went on tons and tons of supplements, and they worked at first, but what I ultimately found to be the case with supplements was anything that I took that had any kind of sedative effect, insert the list here: valerian, lemon balm, ashwagandha, anything adaptogenic, GABA, L-theanine, all of those kinds of natural nootropics, nootropics. I don't know how you say that, but any of that, it would at best provide me with a little bit of a sedative quality for a few hours, and then my nervous system would rebound so hard, having been suppressed a little bit, that I wish I hadn't done it in the first place, because it would come back more intensely than before. And that's kind of the nature of the injury as well, is we're on these drugs that are suppressing everything for so long, and then your nervous system just breaks free when it no longer is suppressed. Or at least that's my working theory. So as hard as it was, I ultimately came to the conclusion that I needed to just let my nervous system be as much as I possibly could, just let it do its thing and take my hands off of it and allow it to breathe and heal and do what it wanted to do, because it felt like my body was screaming at me saying, stop, like, stop giving me all this crap. I need to, like, get out of my room, mom. Like, it needed time to recalibrate on its own. And if you're hearing that and you're like, all in on the severe part of, like, if you're in acute or something and you're hearing me say that and you're like, go fuck yourself, I have to do something about this, I totally get it. And you can feel that way. You can tell me to go fuck myself. I don't know. Like, I understand, because I was the same way. I was like, when people told me to do nothing and, wait, I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, how? You obviously have not been through it like I have. But ultimately, I look back on the people who gave me that advice, and it is words of wisdom in my mind, because it's kind of the conclusion I reached through my own struggle with it. And so, yeah, I stopped taking all supplements for it, and I became very careful about not doing anything to affect my nervous system in any way, including not eating even chocolate because of the little amount of caffeine that is in chocolate. Like, that is what the advice that I have for my past self is, like, don't use anything, don't eat anything that has any kind of effect on your nervous system, up or down. It's, I don't know. That's my personal philosophy on it. And I know that that's a lot easier to say once you get to a little bit better of a place with it. I didn't want to accept that for the longest time, but acceptance has been paramount for me in this injury. And so the things that did help, I want to talk about. I want in the later part of this video, I want to talk about positives and end on a good note. And it has a happy ending. This symptom, I'm not all the way better. I have, I still have bouts of akathisia and really bad symptoms that I'm still healing from. But this particular symptom, I've got some good news. So stick around for that. It'll be at the end. It was really hard at first, and it took months and months and months. But toward the very end of 2021, I stopped, using anything for sleep. I stopped using all adaptogens and anything sedative. And it was really, really hard. And I went many nights sleeping very, very little. Sometimes not at all. And then over time, they became interspersed with more nights with a few more hours that I would be really grateful for. And then it would backslide, etc. But the things that really helped me through it were, one, again, acceptance is the name of the game. I know, like, fuck you, Matt. What the fuck are you talking about? How can I accept this? I get it. But practicing it, and it's a practice, and it takes years. And, I'm over 3 years out now. And it's taken me a long time to get to a place of, like, it be what it be, like, it's gonna do its thing. So that, I was especially in acute and a little bit after acute, although I don't even know what that means. I had a serious terror of going to bed because I knew what was coming. I was really, really struggling with Um, yeah, like just how am I gonna face this again, and I would be terrified to go to sleep all day. Um, and what really helped me to alleviate some of that fear was I eventually, I took my iPad and I would set it up on my nightstand every night. I still do this to this day. Um, I would set it up on the nightstand and put on like a really happy, comforting show. Like I put on Avatar: The Last Airbender a lot because it just makes me feel better. Um, and I would leave it running there for if and when I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep and was terrified. I understand that not everybody can watch TV or listen to music or do stuff like that in this. I was able to, so this is just what worked for me, and hopefully it'll help somebody. But um, little tip, the lowest brightness setting was still too bright for me, and it would keep me awake. So you can go into settings and accessibility, and then under accessibility you click display and text size, and you scroll down a little bit, and it'll say reduce white point. You drag that all the way up or down, I don't remember, all the way up to 100, and that takes the brightness down way, way more, and it becomes quite dark. So I would be able to, I still do it, so that helps to have something playing there and to know just psychologically, it's like a security blanket, it's purely mental, but just to know like if I'm having really bad insomnia or I wake up scared, I can just roll over and watch this and try to take my mind off of it that way. Um, and then it was just time, and I would be so angry sometimes when I woke up and had another night of sleep stolen from me, and I would punch my pillows until I was exhausted, and then I would fall back asleep. You do what you have to do to process this, and um, yeah. But the good news that I want to end on is that I am 37 months off, and for the past several months, like maybe like I would say like the past 6, my sleep has been so much better, so much better. And if you're in it right now, if you're in the insomnia and you're like convinced you're never going to sleep again, I was certain no one could convince me that I was ever going to sleep a wink again. And I get 6 to 8 hours a night, sometimes more. It's rare. But yeah, I sleep an average of 6 or 7 hours a night usually. And sometimes I get 8 or 9. Once in a blue moon, I'll get 12 if my body really needs it. Um, 10 to 12. So sleep does come back, does heal. I can say that with confidence. Living proof right here. So if you're in it, please keep going. And I'm sorry. You did nothing to deserve it. You are not crazy. And you're not thinking your way into it. And you don't have to believe that you're going to recover, and you're still going to recover. So throw all that crap out. And yeah, I love you guys, and we can do this. We can get through this, and we can bring change to the way that the world is being affected by these drugs. So thank you all for watching. I'm sending you so much love and so much light, and hopefully so much sleep. And yeah, I'll see you next time.